Fighting games arguably have the most diverse, unique, and eye-catching group of characters in the gaming industry. You don't have to look far to see any number of interesting fighters featuring animals, mechs, or all kinds of combinations. Hi, I'm Chris, and in today's DashFight video, we want to tell you all about our favorite non-human fighters from across the fighting game scene. Be they a mythological creature, a cute, seemingly sentient animal who learned martial arts, or a bloodthirsty robot hell-bent on the destruction of the human race. Now sometimes these characters were picked because they played a role in the creative vision of the game developers, but honestly other times it seems like they were more an easy choice when graphical resources were at a premium. But either way, they became iconic and are still remembered fondly by their communities. For this video, we will limit ourselves to just original characters from the games, as it'd just be too easy to point at multiverses and hand them over a full list there. Before we get started, remember to subscribe to DashFight here on YouTube and ring the bell, that way you're notified every time a new video comes out. With Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 on the horizon, you don't want to miss out on our guides. Number 5. Sabrewulf, Killer Instinct. Okay, yeah, we are cheating on our very first pick, but Sabrewulf's story is just so metal we couldn't leave it out. Count Conrad von Sabrewulf can be considered a normal human being, albeit a very drunk and rich one, who one day just stumbles, quite literally, on his family legacy as monster hunters. Then, in an ironic twist taken straight out of a fairy tale, the legacy he fell into included a sharp set of werewolf claws that cut deep into his flesh, turning him into one himself. Needless to say, a monster hunter turning into a monster is not a good look. He was mortified by what was happening to him, so began working through the mountains of artifacts his family had collected over the years trying to find a curse. But the beast that now lived inside of him was hungry, and it would go out and hunt during the full moon. As if that weren't bad enough, eventually he's captured by Ultratech, the baddies of the Killer Instinct universe, so they could experiment on his body, including replacing his arms with cybernetics and forcing him to stay in his werewolf form for as long as they wanted. Don't worry though, our good friend did manage to escape the corporation's grasp, tearing his cybernetic arms off and using what he learned in his family archives to grow them back. Only time will tell if we ever get another reboot of the beloved Killer Instinct, and even if we do, what ill fate will befall the Count. But even if we don't get another one, the 2013 version of the game certainly showcased why monsters in fighting games are such a great vehicle for flashy violence. Now gameplay-wise, Sabrewulf is the quintessential rushdown character, as his general physics shows. Basically, he's a damage-focused fast character. I know, this archetype can be found in other games too, but we really feel he shines in Killer Instinct's high-impact visuals and gameplay. So after hearing all that, it shouldn't be surprising to learn that he's only one of 7 characters in the series to have appeared in every single game of the franchise. And although we're not talking about Killer Instinct as a household name like Tekken, Mortal Kombat, or Street Fighter, it does make me wonder about if KI was as popular as his contemporaries in the late 90s, would we have Sabrewulf in Fortnite? Okay, maybe that's a touch too far, so on to the next one. Become DashFight supporter on Patreon. Get a chance to win a pro player coaching session. Click the link in the description. Number 4. D'Vorah, Mortal Kombat. From a poor bastard who got unlucky rolls in their D&D campaign, we move on to a hive mind. No, seriously, despite her humanoid appearance at first glance, D'Vorah is nothing more than part of an insect hive mind known as the chitin. These scary little fellas burrow their larvae deep inside their victims' bodies. Over time, the maggot infects its host, forcing it to transform, growing wings, and eventually falling in line with the rest of the hive. And as if that wasn't enough to make you worry about those pesky mosquito bites, then it's worth noting that in the Mortal Kombat universe, if a chitin were able to lay strong enough larvae inside an outer god, like Cetrion, the resulting fully adult chitin would be even more powerful than the original deity. Interestingly enough, as far as the games are concerned, we've never actually seen a male or otherwise non-female versions of the chitin. This left the door open for fans to speculate as to what they might look like or what part of the hive's hierarchy they would fit into. This hive of wasp-like beings was native to the Arnyek Islands, which were eventually conquered by Shao Kahn as an expansion of the Outworld Empire. D'Vorah would pledge her allegiance to the Emperor and become the de facto leader of the hive in their duties to the rest of the Outer World. By nature, the chitins are crafty, treacherous, and ambitious. And even though they're supposed to be a hive mind, there is some level of individuality to them, and they chose to use that little bit of personality to really hammer home the point that any insect that's capable of killing you with just his claw hands is no insect you should ever be close with. Given that nasty trait of theirs, it should not be any surprise to learn that D'Vorah was more than ready to leave Shao Kahn behind when Kotal set in motion his rebellion. Or how later she would also betray the trust of Melina or Earthrealm forces, or really anybody who ever put their trust in her to do a mission. To be fair though, D'Vorah does have a unique set of skills that she has perfected through her servitude to Shao and Kotal Kahn, the skills of an assassin. Her deadly venom is truly your one-stop shop when trying to get rid of anyone. We even got to see it in action for ourselves during Mortal Kombat 11 when she kills our main timeline Scorpion. So basically, D'Vorah is fierce, and given that she was able to escape after becoming one of Kronika's allies, we might yet see her again. No doubt scheming and betraying yet another faction in the Mortal Kombat universe. Number 3. Blanka, Street Fighter. Blanka from Street Fighter has more than earned his high place on this list, mainly because without a doubt he is one of the most recognizable characters in the fighting games community. Okay, so yes, like Sabrewulf before, on a very technical level, Blanka was a human, but after a particularly nasty plane crash, he got lost in the jungle of Brazil as a kid. And it was in the jungle that he mutated, gaining his iconic green skin color and the ability to generate his own electricity. It was only after years of living in the wilderness that he eventually rejoined society via the World Warrior Tournament, in which he was recognized by his mother and has the opportunity to return to his family. However, once back in society, he felt like an outcast. Even as visually striking as Blanka's features are, his story mostly revolves around being a kind-hearted beast. He genuinely enjoys helping others, and in the later games he's also seen as a nature guide in his home, as well as an environmental protection advocate. Blanka's core gameplay revolves around his speed and his unusual, one might even say non-human figure, and that beast-like movement is often on display inside games as special hitboxes, making fighting against Blanka an interesting challenge of moves. For example, high hits that miss instead. Part of this exaggerated mobility comes in the form of backward dashes, quick jumps, slides, and more, making Blanka the character of choice for players that want to move quickly, hit hard, and do so while looking like an absolute unit. Needless to say, Blanka is gonna be a fantastic character in Street Fighter 6, and we're super psyched to see his graphical upgrade when it's finally released in June 2023. Number 2. Goro, Mortal Kombat. Although certainly humanoid in nature, the Shokan are brutal four-arm warriors from the Outworld. Goro himself is the prince of the Shokan and the former champion of the Mortal Kombat tournament. He was an unforgettable boss in the first game and has shown up intermittently as a playable character in the series ever since. Look, I know that his name doesn't adorn the roster screens of the latest Mortal Kombat games. Lately, that honor often goes to another Shokan commander, Shiva, but Goro's legacy relies almost entirely on his incredible staying power in popular culture. Besides the series' mainline core characters like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Katana, who of course all frequently appear in both games and other media as well, Goro has remained in the spotlight thanks to live-action, animated movies, toys, comic books, and more. These depictions of the four-armed prince have all pushed him front and center of much of Mortal Kombat's cultural mythos. Fun fact for you, if you were to consider Goro as an actual actor, he would have been the highest paid member of the original Mortal Kombat movie. But that's a different story that we already covered. If you want to learn more about it, as well as other media surrounding Mortal Kombat, DashFight has a video all about it that you can check out. But back to Goro, his popularity is even more impressive considering that his design is not necessarily unique. I mean, come on, the idea of a monster featuring more extremities has been a staple of fantasy books and even tabletop games like Dungeons & Dragons forever. Yet he has been able to become something of a base template for the archetype and has been the source of countless parodies and satires of both Mortal Kombat's gratuitous violence as well as the criticism of it. Special mention: Donkey Kong, Super Smash Bros. Yes, I know, we already set out a rule that it needed to be an original character for this series, but we've already broken the rules once, so why not? And I mean, come on, there's no way that this list could do justice to his theme without mentioning Donkey Kong, specifically his multiple appearances in the Super Smash Bros. Franchise. The remarkable thing about Donkey Kong is the fact that even though he comes from his own very successful line of games, the newer generation are likely most familiar with his appearance in other Nintendo games, like Smash Bros. And you gotta admit, DK is a force of nature in those games. So he might not be an S-tier character, but every time you see a DK player in the bracket at your local, signing up for a major tournament, or even being invited to participate in a closed major, you know shenanigans will be aplenty. And if we're being real, not a day goes by that we're not thankful for the existence of the greatest BM move in the Smash Bros. Franchise. To grab your opponent as DK, walk off the edge and bounce him off the platform for the stock. It is truly one of life's greatest pleasures. Number 1. Panda, Tekken. Of course, there could only be one, and for us here at DashFight, that is Panda. Sorry Kuma, we know you came first in the series, but we really think that even he can agree that the most memorable non-human fighter for the fighting game scene is Panda. Beyond the basic idea of her being a literal fighting panda, over the years of the Tekken games, it's become clear that she has a very human personality, enjoys spending time with her friends, and is even a popular celebrity outside of the King of the Iron Fist tournament. Panda was trained by Heihachi Mishima in a martial art called bear fighting, as she is Ling Xiaoyu's personal secretary, eventually joining the Iron Fist tournament to keep her safe. This would happen many times after, with Panda growing tired of the tournament but still driven to help Xiaoyu in all her endeavors. Now, as we mentioned earlier, Panda does share a fighting style with Kuma, who was part of the original Tekken and its first sequel. But starting with Tekken 3, it has been all Panda. Panda's gameplay revolves around the aforementioned bear fighting style. She's got slow movement and attack speed, but her hitboxes are big enough to connect with most opponents, leading to some great neutral control. Favoring chip damage from a mid-distance in between striking opponents down with some killer counterattacks. Luckily, with Tekken 8 on the horizon, we won't have to wait long to find out where her story will take her next, as the last time we saw her, she was searching for Xiaoyu. So there you have it, DashFight's top 5 non-human fighting game characters. Obviously, there are a few more that we could have fit onto the list, and some of the ones we didn't pick might be your favorite, so let us know in the comments down below your list of the best non-human characters. Looking for more DashFight? We got videos on all sorts of fighting game topics, as well as guides on Tekken 7 and Mortal Kombat 11 characters, so go forth and check them out!